YouTube. You can use the WURD radio app. There's those independent radio apps that you can go in and act like a radio on your cell phone or on your tablet. You can check us out all over the place. But the Power Hour is live and well this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And as the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler says, Nick Tyler Farrer told him not to say one time, "Good morning, Philadelphia." We're going to say it anyway. Good morning, Philadelphia. This is Dwayne Royster, one of your hosts this morning, and sitting across from me, special guest host sitting in for the Reverend Dr. Mark Kelly Tyler, is Tawanda Stallworth. Tawanda, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, Bishop. Thanks for asking. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and appreciate you coming on the show early in the morning. We've had some guests on, and I'm like, yeah, it's early in the morning, isn't it? So, yes, we get up early. We get our day started. We are prepared and coming to you to have conversation today, to check in and to talk about what's happening around the latest news, what's happening around Philadelphia, and giving you our opinions, which we have plenty of. We have plenty of opinions on what's going on. But hey, do us a favor, right, so other folk can join in on this. Would you go to your Facebook app or your, Facebook app, and would you just hit the share button down in the corner? And, just share it to your page so other people can take a look at it and listen to it with you. And while you get your day started this morning, so go right down there on your Facebook app and just hit the share button and share it out to your family and friends. Share it out to special groups that you belong to. I belong to a couple of groups I always share it out to every day so that they can follow us as well. Let them know that the Power Hour is on and you are being blessed, or, you engage in the program. Sometimes you want to argue with us. That's all right, too. We have folk that want to argue with us, and I'm down with that. I used to debate in high school and college. And that was part of my thing. That's why people always like, what's your favorite sport? I'm like, politics. So, because I debated in high school and college. As a matter of fact, I was all city when I debated at Abraham Lincoln High School up in the northeast section of Philadelphia. My senior year of my senior year of high school. So that was part of my journey. And I am grateful for the chance to experience that.
I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised that I debated in high school?
No, I'm not. I'm not. And that you were good at it. Like that. That's not a shock for me.
My wife is better at it than I am. So.
Not surprised by that either.
Yeah, she's far better at it than I am. I haven't won an argument in years. So. Check. No, actually, I debated at Lincoln High School, and that was, part of what I did. And I appreciated that. It actually helped set me up for a lot of the work that I'm doing today. Taught me a lot about how to read information, how to use information, and taught you how to be quick on your feet. You have to be very quick on your feet to be able to do debate, and you have to be able to analyze an argument very quickly and figure out where the loopholes are and the problems are with it. So I enjoyed it. I have to admit, I did not debate in college very long. And part of that has to do with the fact that they spent way too much time in the library. My freshman year, I was not trying to spend a lot of time in the library. It was terrible that I did not spend more time in the library. I'll be honest with you. I should have done better than that. But nevertheless, I debated. Did you do any sports like that while you were in high school or college?
No, I debated with my parents.
Oh, I hear you.
And I lost quite a bit. I debated with my brothers. I lost there too. But I was into music. So
okay.
I played the violin in high school. I was in choir. I did high school musicals. Yeah, I was kind of with that crowd. I was also like a basketball manager, football manager, kind of like a Jill of all trades, I guess.
Yeah.
Wasn't really sure. There really wasn't a lot of, I did the morning announcements. I just kind of,
Or you were preparing yourself for radio a long time ago. That's what's happening. Okay, I get it now. That's all good. That's all good. So actually, I played the cello, and I was in the
Oh,
orchestra, and we had a Baroque quartet, and I did all that. So I started playing instruments. Actually, I started playing my first instrument when I was in second grade. I had the guitar, and then I started piano lessons in the fourth grade. And then in the fifth grade, I started playing tenor saxophone, and then eventually switched over to cello. So yeah, I did all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was an important part of my youth.
so is Sheila Booker with us this morning? Because she would be delighted to know that you do have a musical acumen, that it's not just the
Oh, it's not my
singing
singing.
that you do from time to time, but you can carry a note. It may not be with your voice, but
Yeah, well, actually, there are certain songs I can sing very well. It's just you can't have a big range on it. It's just it's got to stay within a certain note frame, and then that's really it. I can't go too high or too low. I just got to stay in one area, and then I'm very good. I can do the doxology very well. The things like that. But yes, no, no. But actually, I played a lot of instruments, and as I was growing up, and my great aunt, not my great aunt, my aunt. No, it's my great aunt, was the piano player for the WURD singers, and Flossie Baker. And so at a very young age, my grandmother, her sister, bought us a piano. And so we started learning to play instruments. So I was all a part of the thing. But anyway, well, look, everybody, we're so glad that you're here today. And it's really great to be able to connect and talk like this. I'm always like, all right, so am I going to get more pushback because I played the cello? So I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, all right. So, now they're going to be like, he plays the cello.
like a leap.
It's,
Another Jackson. We knew it. We knew he was like the cello.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's on the debate team. Mm, mm. Yeah, it was so bad. Let me just say this. When I was in a sophomore in high school, I tried out for the basketball team. I was so bad they made me the scorekeeper. So that was
Oh.
sports wasn't my thing. I did play football for a while, but I played football my freshman year. But yeah, no, I'm just not my thing. Not my thing. So
I didn't do well as playing basketball. That no, my family would like me to tell that story, but it just wasn't a good experience for me.
I got you. I got you. As we've gotten to this conversation, though, I forgot to say, Dwayne Royster, Tawanda Starworth, hey, the person holding it down on the boards, keeping it all together, making sure that we are on the air each and every day, is Kawesa. Kawesa, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. What did you play any sports or do anything in high school or college?
Yeah, high school, like elementary school, all that stuff. I was choir, I played soccer, I played the saxophone, I was a marching band, so I
Oh,
did
wow.
all that. And then in college, I did abandon my saxophone, which I love, but I was in choir in college, and then I worked at the radio station. So,
Oh, wow.
but yeah, I did a lot of little extracurricular type stuff.
I got to say, your singing is amazing. And
Oh,
I know
thank
Solomon
you.
talks about it all the time, but I mean, if you are on Facebook, you need to friend Koisa, and then you need to listen to her sing. She does sing periodically on her Facebook page, and it's absolutely amazing. So you must check it out. I'm like, we need to get you an agent and need to get you out there because your voice just needs to be heard.
Oh, thank
So
you.
it's no
Appreciate it.
problem. Well, how was your ride in today?
Not bad at all. It was easy. There's no traffic. A little chilly, but not as cold as it was yesterday. So, but I still was wearing my big jacket. I call this pneumonia weather. So I just keep my big jacket on, and then once it gets warmer, I'll downgrade to the not so heavier jacket. But yeah, it's not too bad out.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. I appreciate that. And traffic was all clear, huh?
Yeah, it was. No, I mean, from my standpoint, I wasn't behind any trucks or anything, 'cause that happens sometimes. I get stuck behind buses and trucks these days.
Hmm.
But yeah, no buses, no trucks, just smooth sailing. So,
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome.
Oasis
Well,
sounds like someone's grandmother. This pneumonia weather.
It is pneumonia weather.
oh yeah.
This pneumonia weather. You keep your jacket on when you go out the door.
I actually say
Pneumonia.
that quite frequently that it's pneumonia weather because I'm like, that 40-degree shift in the course of a day is problematic. You're freezing in the morning and you're sweating in the afternoon, and by the time it gets to night, you're freezing again. Yeah, that's pneumonia weather. You're exactly right about that. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Koisa, for giving us our updates. That was Traffic and Weather by Koisa. We're actually going to have a segment. This is Traffic and Weather by Koisa. Each and every morning, coming to you live. So we appreciate that. All right. So there's a few things that are hitting the news. And I mean, we certainly want to talk about what's happening with the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis. We definitely want to talk about what's happening with St. Louis, that the jail there has had a second uprising in less than a month, as a result of delays in court hearings and just maltreatment and lack of reasonable bail. But I want to just start with, since we were talking about sports a little while ago. So Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, he's not a brother. Georgia
Not at
Governor
all.
Brian Kemp, Brian Kemp is vows to fight after Major League Baseball pulls the All-Star game out of Atlanta over the voting laws. So I don't even really know where to begin with this one. At
He,
some point, you got to know when it's to stop.
this doubling down is really concerning for me. So he even says, like, Coca-Cola and Delta might be afraid of Stacey Abrams and Joe Biden, but I'm not afraid, and we will not back down, and we will not. Like, I feel like he got that from us, like this, like resistance movement, like that. No, you're on the wrong side. Like, we resist you. Like, this isn't. I don't. It's just he just. Oh, it's so just disgusting and troubling that he still doesn't really get it. He doesn't, like, is this a case of him not knowing what he's doing? Like, does he really not get it? Or does he get it and just is so controlled by the people that enact these laws that he just is, I don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts.
I think he's trying to, so, his election's coming up shortly. He's trying to get his base fired up. And he's trying to double down and show that he can be as good a racist as anybody else is. He can be as good a racist as Donald Trump. And he's trying to reclaim, I think, those voters that are mad because Georgia by 11,000 votes went and voted for Joe Biden. That by a few thousand votes, both John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock became senators. And I think that they're trying to figure out whatever they can do. It's similar to the Southern strategy that Richard Nixon put into place, which was, to use race baiting and racism as a tool to be able to suppress the vote in the South, right? This is the 21st century Southern strategy. And so, he's kind of speaking to his folk right now, and they're realizing this backfired, that generally corporations would have gone through whatever the Republican Party wanted. Now they're not doing that, and he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Well, and I feel like, historically, we as a people have, whenever we're pressed down upon, that we are able to produce more, right? So that, like, there's this pressure, and he may not really know the level of dedication to our rights that
Right.
this is really about, like the pressure that we can put on corporations. Like, we bring our dollars together, and I mean, I was glad to see MLB, make the move that they made. I'm, excited about what Delta has said and what Coca-Cola has said recently. Like that, those types of things need to happen, but we are stronger than what I think he realizes. Like, where exactly have you been, Mr. Kemp? Because we're not backing down either. And like I said, this whole language that comes from this place of resistance and not backing down and not cowering, like, you're not in the position to do that. That's us. That's what we do. We stick to it. We have stick-to-itiveness. We see it through to that's what we do. You
Right.
can't do that because you're the oppressor. So you're not. You've got your role reversed.
Right. I mean, the challenge is, so, like with Delta and with Coca-Cola, So their move there is the Republicans are probably going to do some kind of tax thing on them to force them to pay more taxes, right? Which will be their punishment. Major League Baseball, the only ones that he can really punish would be the Braves, which is the Atlanta team. And maybe if when the other teams come to play there, they put some sort of employer tax on the wages earned for that game. But other than that, there's not really much he can do to Major League Baseball. And that's hundreds of millions of dollars that have just gone out of Atlanta at a time when they really need the economy to be spurned because they're acting like racist. And so that is, an important piece that I think we need to see. We need more businesses, though, to step up and do this, right, to be able to get this level of boycott coming out.
But even Brian Kemp's, like, he's an individual, and he's saying he won't back down. Like, you don't see that your actions have an effect on the city of Atlanta and then on the state as a whole.
But Atlanta didn't vote for him, so he doesn't care.
Well, and they won't.
I mean, it's the same thing with Pat Toomey in Pennsylvania, right? Pat Toomey won't come to Philadelphia to do a thing because he knows that Philadelphia didn't vote for him to become the senator, right? That's not where he got his votes from. So he spends his time in areas outside of Philadelphia. I mean, I remember when folk were trying to press him to come do a town hall meeting because he has refused to do a town hall meeting, especially in Philadelphia. So then they set up some fake thing on phone. And basically, he's only going to talk, and they pick people to ask questions. They were all Republicans, of course, so which really kind of mutes the whole purpose of the town hall. So
even though he won't come, like he still technically represents Philadelphia.
But
like
he tries not to represent Philadelphia. I mean, certainly in his policies in Washington, D.C., he is not representing the interest of Philadelphia.
Right. But he's elected to serve the entire Commonwealth.
That's
like
correct.
This is what you're supposed to do. Like, even though Brian Kemp may not have an affinity for Atlanta, you still represent the interests of the people that live in Atlanta.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the irony of this is that the guy that stole the election is still trying to steal elections, right?
Right.
He's trying to make up for the guy that actually that because his Secretary of State would not let them steal the election from Georgia. But this is the guy. So Brian Kemp, some of you remember, actually ran against Stacey Abrams. He actually was the Secretary of State at the time. He purged the voter rolls shortly before the election, and mostly in areas where black and brown people were, so that people couldn't vote. And it was too late for them to get re-registered and things of that nature. So it was a very, very complicated election, but he basically stole the election, and so that was very problematic. All right, we got to go to our first break. And so thank you all for checking us out, listening. You're listening to the Power Hour. We'll be right back after these messages.
We are people of resilience, so let's protect our lives with vaccines we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
At Bank of America, we believe in the power of collaboration to create jobs and fuel economic opportunity. That's why we're working with local organizations to help people get the skills they need and build a growing pipeline of talent.
I'm Jim Dever, Bank of America Greater Philadelphia Market President. Our partnership with Philadelphia Youth Network is just one way we're taking action to help more members of our community. What would you like the power to do?
Bank of America N.A. member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
The Germantown Friends School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster, along with special guest host Tawanda Stallworth. We are here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. And we have plenty of them. We are checking out everybody that's checking us out on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Hey, Beatrice Sims, see you out there on YouTube. And seeing Ed Lloyd, Kathleen West, Reuben Mills, Mabel Wellborn, Deborah Robinson, Robert Garland, Gary Butler Sr., Wanda Hunter, Wanda Campbell. Hey, Wanda Davis. We got the Wandas this morning. MK Rashad Bey is out there. Raphael Suleiman. Rob Garland's out there. Constance Stewart. Dan Hunter. Karen Gold is there. Barnita Swigert Huzzy is there. All right. Ant Young is there from down in the DMV. Asa Khalif is watching this morning. Judge McCabe is checking us out this morning as well. All you folk that are Maisha Boyd's watching, Kenesha Chapman's watching with us. Appreciate each and every. I saw Sheriff Bilal is out there today as well. So appreciating everybody checking us out. Joanne Kemp is checking us out on YouTube. She just said hello as well. Why don't you put hello in whatever media device you are checking us out with, and we'll be glad to talk with you and just to shout out your name and say thank you for watching us on the Power Hour. And listen, we are going to take calls this morning, so you can give us a call at 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. Look, we were just finishing the conversation talking about what's happening in Atlanta now that Major League Baseball has decided to move their team, to move the All-Star game from Atlanta to another venue. I think they're still working on trying to figure out where that venue is.
I think it's Denver.
They're going to Denver?
Yeah.
They're going to go get high. Okay. The Mile High City. It's literal.
Right. We're going to have a great time. Everybody's going to have a great time. It's going to be an all-star game like no other.
Do not test the players.
No, right.
Test the players.
Right.
Do not test the players, please. That will not go very well. You know, I used to think of Denver as a conservative city, and then I was out there about a year after they passed those laws, and people are just walking around. It looks like you know, some sort of city from the '60s now. You know, people just kind of walking around in a haze. I'm like, woo, and you will catch a contact. So anyway, I'm sorry. I was being very bad. That was bad, Dwayne. Very bad, Dwayne. So yes, and Ant Young said that's even whiter than that's, you know, going to Denver. Yeah, I mean they could have brought it here to Philadelphia. Let's have them come to Philly. We would make it nice and black. Or send them down to D.C. They go play where the Capitals play.
The Nationals, yeah. So you and I talking about sports, this could really be bad. I think Facebook could like blow up. Like they don't even know that they're called the Nationals. And yeah, but I think that was a good move, getting it out of Atlanta and, you know, making a statement and not saying, you know, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna take the game from Atlanta and go to Denver because we like it better, or the stadium, you know, it has better facilities. But to say we're moving and this is the reason why we are moving, yeah, right? Absolutely. To say this is your actions have led to this decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's important.
No, I agree with you on that. And I mean, it's about time sports started waking up to the fact that they pour hundreds of millions of dollars in community, and when there's unjust laws, you know, they need to stand up and do the right thing, right? It's not always about making the buck. Right. It's not always about making all that money, right? Sometimes you got to stand up and just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And it might cost you something, but in the long run, you know, baseball is America's pastime, right? You know, black folk as well as racists like baseball. And, you know, make a statement about where your values are and what American values are. If you're the great American pastime, then you need to make a very clear statement about American values. Democracy and the free access to the ballot is part of what makes our country what it is, or supposed to anyway. And so if you're the great American sport, then you better stand up for that.
And I didn't see it coming. I didn't see that coming either. I didn't see it coming. And so I have to imagine that wherever, you know, whatever sort of operations folks or diversity, equity, inclusion folks they have with the organization, that someone, you know, had their antenna up and said, hey, this is the move. And they were able to, you know, escalate that move, up to the decision was made. And that could be a model for some other ways in which decisions need to be made that affect us. And I think that's a good move.
I mean, it's actually interesting that the weight of the movement at this point has, hit corporations in such a way that they feel like they have to do something. In Atlanta is Delta and Coca-Cola, and now Major League Baseball. In Texas, it was Dell and American Airlines. And I mean, American Airlines has its own problem with people of race. I mean, the NAACP was boycotting them, or still boycotting them at this point. So, they needed to jump in and do something when the Texas Senate passed similar legislation to what was passed in Georgia. So, yeah, I mean, there's a point to which corporations now have to get on board and say, okay, enough is enough. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to tolerate this.
Well, money makes the world go round, right?
Absolutely.
So, the decisions that corporations, make matter, right? And we can vote with our pocketbooks. We can, vote with who we choose to support. We can, there's, American and Delta before they, changed course. They're not the only airlines. Like if I have to, get on JetBlue, or if I have to get on Spirit, that's what I'll do. If I, get on Allegiant or Frontier. I mean, there's options, right?
Yeah.
And corporations have to recognize that their position in this, and I would even say that they have risen to this level of political consciousness, maybe without even knowing it, because of their relationship with policy and their relationship with politicians many times, and the ways in which they support. It's just become a really more concretized oligarchy that you speak of, right? So absolutely. Corporations can't stay silent, right? They don't really have that as an option.
Absolutely. Well, not right now anyway. And my friend Hiram, RT Hiram, is pointing out to me that Major League Baseball no longer tests for marijuana. So I just wanted to bring that back. So, the players don't have to worry about going to Denver and getting tested for at least marijuana. All depending how strong it is, I guess. So anyway.
I just worry that though, if you I don't know, something about being high and that 90-mile-an-hour white object coming towards your face just can't be good. Like, you just kind of
delayed reaction time, right?
Right.
You're a little delayed. You're like,
yeah.
Totally missed. Yes. So I got it. Ann Young saying, now we got to get the evangelicals on board. I totally agree with you on that one. And that's problematic. Because, I don't think I was on this show and I was talking about the evangelicals and just like the whole, some years ago, I was watching Christian television. So many of you don't know, I'm a former evangelical. Okay, I'm a reformed evangelical. I'm a recovering evangelical, whatever term you want. I don't want to listen to my sermons from early in my career because I'm like, whoa. When I go back, I'm just like, I don't know what I was thinking. Part of, people change, they transform. You have life experiences, things that help your eyes to be opened. And see the world very differently. And I've had those experiences. And I never forget watching Christian television one day. I forgot what station it was, but there was one of the big, white mega churches in Texas that was on. And I was watching this, and I said, all the men look exactly alike. Mm-hmm. And all the women were wearing sundresses with T-shirts on underneath. And I was like, this is a cult. I just sat there and I was like, this is a cult. And it really was one of those things. It wasn't the only thing, but it was one of those things that really began to push me to ask a lot of deeper questions about evangelicalism and about its creation and why it exists the way that it did. But when I literally looked, every man sitting in the audience, and there was about 4,000 or 5,000 men and women sitting there, had the same haircut as the preacher. and all the women were dressed like the pastor's wife with the sundress on with the T-shirt underneath and a pair of sandals on. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, this is very problematic. And then I saw the black folk that were trying to do the same thing. I'm like, you don't have the right hair for that. You don't have the hair to do that. It's not, you don't, just look. I was like, you know what? I said, it's a cult. And I was done. And, now more even in this moment, when I'm watching how the political process is playing out, even with what's going on in Atlanta, even what was going on during the Trump administration, it even reminds me more of a cult, right? It's a cult of power. It's a cult of white supremacy. It's a cult of exclusivity, because it's really exclusive. They don't want folk. You have to be able to fall in line. In my days traveling in the evangelical church, right, the evangelicals didn't just want your soul. They wanted all of you, right, to think in a certain way and exist in a certain way and be a certain way. And you had to think like them and act like them. And if you didn't, then somehow or another you were ostracized and you were sort of, put outside the group. And that for me was very problematic. I was brought up to be an independent thinker. And although, I got in that moment and I think there was something that was speaking to me, eventually I was like, yeah, I can't flow with this. There's something not right about this. And had to walk away from it. So
yeah,
I hear you.
My sister and friend, the Reverend Naomi Washington Leapart, has done, some work and some discussion around this brand of American Christianity, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That there's this, she even had a meme of a white Jesus with a MAGA hat on. And then shared with me that wasn't original, right? Like this was actually an image taken from the Capitol protests.
Right.
So there is this, for you and I, it's like, wow, they really make this connection. These people have lost their mind. Like this is not Jesus of Nazareth whom you seek, right? This is not the brand of Christianity that is all about liberation. This is something that informs white supremacy in a way that justifies it, and it has to die, right? It has to. We can't save that Jesus. We can't operate in a way that makes the oppression of Black and brown people justified by their faith. Like that's not what the atonement was for. That's not what we are reconciled to. And that's a problem. And evangelicals have to come in their own terms to the end of themselves, right? Yeah. To be able to recognize the ways in which they have blasphemed God because of what they have used God to justify. And it's consuming.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And around the election time, it really, I have a couple of folks that I know that were on my timeline that were really kind of with that like Paula White regime, like we're praying and, all of these things, and they really mean it. And these are people that I would have thought, were able to reason and discern wisely. And it's startling. It's startling what's happening. And yeah.
I mean, one of the problems, Paula White pastors a Black church.
Well, there's that. Okay.
And I'm like, what about your people? Do you care? I mean, that's just.
Well, and speaking of stealing things, I think the case is made that she may or may not have stolen that church. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very much part of the conversation. And, but, I mean, I don't know how that church keeps her as a pastor, kind of doing what she did and some of the things that she said and the way she supported Trump. I'm like, that's not helpful at all. Not helpful at all. So,
well, there are Black folks who still support Donald Trump. I think if he runs in 2024, I would hope that some legal action takes place before then that would prevent him from being able to run. But they still support him. And I think a lot of it is wrapped up in the ways in which we understand God to be active in this world. The ways that we, the ways that we conflate Christianity with democracy, this brand of Christianity, right? Not the brand that liberates, but rather the brand that promotes a self-sufficient and self-righteous hierarchical attainment, right?
That's right. That's right.
That puts that above anything else, even above how you treat your neighbor, even above how you treat the widow or the orphan, or your responses to those social situations. That then becomes your God, right? Yeah. And that their stomach has become their God, so they operate in that way, and that's to get people to understand that and to sacrifice their own really self-image and their own image of themselves to be able to think about a different way, to be able to think about Jesus in a different way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, we are up on our next break here in a minute. And just a reminder that the phone lines are open, 215-634-8065, 215-634-8065. Let me just shout out a couple people here. Hey, Nikki O'Tim and Cheryl Brown, Joanne Kemp, that are checking us out on Facebook side. I think we acknowledged Hiram already, and so many others that are joining us on, I'm sorry, that was the YouTube side. This is the Facebook side, all those on Facebook. So I appreciate Tracy is there this morning. Shirley Beckett is there this morning with us as well. Ed Minner's out there. And so we are Wanda Campbell, Kathleen West is there. Just good to see everybody out this morning and listening in and participating in the ongoing conversation that's happening on our social media at this moment. Well, listen, you're listening to the Power Hour. Yes, you're listening to the Power Hour. We'll be right back after these messages.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Okay, Her's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet. Hold on. Whew. But it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Her's Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew. Taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Her's.
WURD Radio congratulates the winner of the 2021 Level Up Contest.
Hot off the press.
This year's Level Up winner is Anissa Smith of the Black Food and Dessert Expo. As the winner, the Black Food and Dessert Expo will receive a marketing package valued at $5,000, which includes a 4WURD small business membership, advertising on WURD Radio, an on-air interview, social media outreach, website acknowledgement, membership to the African American Chamber of Commerce and the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia, access to a workshop at the Business Center, and recognition on our partner stations, WVON in Chicago and KJLH in Los Angeles. Learn more about the Black Food and Dessert Expo by visiting WURDradio.com and clicking the Level Up banner. WURD Radio would like to thank everyone who nominated a company or participated in the 2021 Level Up contest. An honorable mention to our 2 runner-up finalists, Dr. Helena Fontes of the New View Institute and Antoinette Coward-Gilmore of Dance for Nia. Be sure to support Black women-owned businesses throughout the city. Special thanks to our sponsors, Bank of America, Comcast, Pico, Keystone First, Jefferson University, and Jefferson Health, along with our supporters, the Business Center, the African American Chamber, and the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Merrill. Looking at some volume, getting busy out there this morning on I-95 southbound. You're going to find that first busy in the area 413 because of an accident. Again, near Street Road, another accident there. Then you're jamming Cotman down the bridge through construction. Heavy again, Betsy Ross through Girard. Northbound moving fine. Vine Expressway westbound delays 8th out through Broad. Schuylkill both ways. Pretty good shape this morning. Boulevard Route 1 southbound Broad down to Fox. A little slow there through work. Looking at 55 northbound Deptford into 42. Volume picks up 295 northbound of 42. Some slowing there. Right lane blocked again because of emergency construction. With Merrill Guided Investing, you have the option to work with an advisor at a low cost to minimum. Get started at merrilledge.com/investing. Goals, Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner, and Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker, dealer, and investment advisor. Member SIPC. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clear skies and cool this morning, but bright sunshine and a nice warm-up during the day. Will warm into the low 60s by lunchtime and a high of 71 this afternoon. Not as windy as yesterday. Winds out of the northwest 15 to 20 miles an hour. Clouds move in tonight. A few scattered light showers Wednesday morning. Then back to sunshine in the afternoon. A high of 70 after a morning low of 48. Back down into the 40s Thursday morning. A low of 46. But with sunshine, we're headed for 71 Thursday afternoon. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to Power Hour. This is Dwayne Royster along with Tawanda Stallworth. Hey, WURD family, tune in today for WURD Radio and AARP presents COVID-19 Vaccine Education Forum during The Source from 1 to 2:30 p.m., moderated by Andrea Lawful Sanders and AARP's Angela Forshaw Rouse. The panel includes Bryant Green of Always Best Care, Veronica Hill Milbourne of Spectrum Health, and from Cigna, Dr. Samya Seeley and Sandy Carrington, LPN. Tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. or tune in today at 1 p.m. See you there. So just everybody check that out. This will be a really great forum today, and thank you to our colleague Andrea Sanders for putting that on today. It should be a good conversation about the COVID-19 vaccine and vaccinations and what you need to know about that. Hey, just lifting up a couple other people. I see Lola Khan out there. I see Dr. Calinthia is out there listening today to us. Good morning, Dr. Calinthia. I hope you are well. I saw Craig out there as well, and Marie Jenkins Queno. I hope I said that correctly. I don't want to. I hate butchering names because people butcher mine all the time, so they don't know how to. You know, every morning, Mark Tyler butchers my last name. So I'm like. Trying to do this accent thing that he doesn't know what he's doing with it. But anyway, okay.
He doesn't do the accents.
He doesn't get the Boston accent very well. And my freshman year in college, I had a roommate who was from Belmont, Mass, and my name was totally butchered because it begins with the R and ends with the R, and it was just not a good experience.
Those R's can be tricky.
Yes, the R's can be tricky. You are 100%. Correct on that for folk in Massachusetts and New England. New England in general. New England's got this whole language thing. New England, Long Island, very strong accents. Philly doesn't have a strong accent at all. It's actually pretty neutral. So.
I can, when I'm talking with someone from Philadelphia, I can kind of pick up on it, even if they don't say John. Like I still know, like.
But John is just a term, though. It's not an accent. It's just it's a phrase that people use, right?
Yeah, but it informs a dialect. Like you can almost hear like they're getting ready to say John. Like it's a very, I can't really describe it. It's beautiful, like, but it's there. It's there.
And we should say that there's a white Philly language and then there's black Philly language, and they are not the same.
Okay, that's okay. And maybe that's it, right? So there's two different dialects. So
because I've heard people talk about Philly accents before, and it is not the black accent, right? It's more of the Sylvester Stallone thing. than it is like what black Philadelphians sound like.
Or like Bradley Cooper.
Bradley, I mean, yeah, or Bradley Cooper, yeah. You're thinking about Bill Bradley, used to be on 60 Minutes, who was from Philadelphia, but you did not know he had an accent.
No, Bill Bradley, I don't think has it.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper has it.
Yes, but there's a difference between, like, black folk do not walk around talking about used guys.
No,
right? That's what white Philadelphians say, but that's not what black folks say. That's not the language that we use.
No, and some Lancasterians say used guys.
But that's probably because they're from Philadelphia.
Yeah. I'm good on this. I'm good on this end of 76.
Well, actually, people would say probably from that end it's more of a Midwestern accent than it is anything else. So,
in my area?
Yeah. Like that part of Pennsylvania is more Midwest than it is East Coast. So
so a friend of mine is from what would be considered the metro area, and he said, like this part of the state is considered west, even though we're really kind of in the middle. And I said, yeah, it's really, between the Carlisle exit and Valley Forge, it's only 100 miles.
Right.
So 326 to 226 on I-76 is only 100 miles, but you would think it's like we might as well be in Columbus, Ohio. Like it's, so far. And I think, as we, have conversations about statewide expansion and, what it looks like to, really tackle the demographic of the Commonwealth, that, what happens in those 100 miles is really, central to how we can change the momentum of the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. We got to find a way to pull it together for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, let's talk about what's not pulling together. St. Louis. So the jail in St. Louis has had its second uprising in about a month. Actually, a very interesting thing. So this is the second time that those that have been incarcerated picked the locks and got out of their cells.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening there, but they need to do something to address that situation. It's not good. It's not good at all.
So, I mean, in a pandemic, we all know what this last year has been like for us in our homes. I'm actually surprised that St. Louis isn't happening in more cities across the country. So, I mean, everything that we've experienced, shipping delays, for our needed items, these are all things that folks who are incarcerated are also experiencing. And again, this gap between people who can make decisions and cause things to happen are far removed from the people who have experienced incarceration, and that's a problem.
Right.
So, their trial dates are being pushed back. A lot of these folks are incarcerated and, haven't even been to trial yet. So we have, that problem. They can't bail out. So they're, and let's not even talk about testing and vaccination in these facilities. So, like I said, I'm actually surprised that this isn't happening more often.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. So, I mean, a lot of folk know shortly after Mike Brown was killed, I led a group of clergy and staff from Power years ago to go to Ferguson within days. We were on the ground, and I actually protested outside that jail. I know exactly where it is. We actually led a march of leaders to that jail and almost got arrested because we were out there protesting. We sent a group of people over to take a letter to the state's attorney. They don't have what we refer to as district attorney. They refer to as the state's attorney. Take information over to the state's attorney. And I remember the building. I remember being outside of it and just trying to, so when I saw the pictures and I saw the windows broken out, I'm like, whoa. And it's got to be really bad. And, it's just a real travesty. I know they've moved some of the inmates to other correctional facilities at this moment. I mean, but I can imagine it's overcrowded. They are behind on their hearings. And to be quite frank, there are a lot of folk in there that should have been out on bail.
Right.
Or been let out of their own recognizance. And they have not changed the policies in some of the ways that we have in Philadelphia, not in all the ways, but in some of the ways we have in Philadelphia to reduce the prison population, or not the prison, the jail population. There's a difference between prison and jail. Jails are county institutions that are designed to really hold people until trial. Prisons are where folk go after they've been sentenced. So, but they should have been let out. I mean, folk were in there for some really minor offenses, but they just didn't have the money. Their only real charge was poverty. That was what had them present in there.
And they're innocent until proven guilty, right? So according to the letter of the law, like, there are incarcerated innocent folks in jail that can't get out, and it's because of poverty and in a pandemic, right? So even in Pennsylvania, I've had the privilege to work with the Department of Health's Office of Health Equity, representing incarcerated and returning citizens. And, you know, some of those stories, even trying to get that needle to move at times, has been difficult. So in Pennsylvania, we're moving to 1B, and there are folks who are eligible for 1A vaccinations. In 23 other facilities have not been vaccinated. This, you know, there's a problem of being incarcerated during a pandemic, and, you know, letting 100 folks go, you know, in the first 3 months of a pandemic really isn't enough to move that needle toward what really needs to be done. And I think St. Louis this is what happens. This is what happens when people have had enough, and, you know, we've gone beyond inhumane treatment for those that don't deserve that.
This pandemic is going to teach us a lot about who we are, the people that we are, and the way the world needs to operate afterwards cannot be the way that it operated beforehand. You know, we were destined for a crash, and we are in it right now, and hopefully we learned our lesson and begin to figure out how to build differently moving forward. Well, Tawana Starworth, thank you so much for being here with us today on the Power Hour. We deeply appreciate you. Thank you, Kwesa, for holding down the boards each and every day, and for giving us our daily weather and traffic report. We really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, to check this out on air, through the app, through WURDradio.com, through Facebook, social, YouTube. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news, happenings around Philadelphia, and, of course, our opinions. Stay tuned now for Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. And listen, family, do us a favor. Go out. Change the damn world. Because if you don't, nobody will. Peace.
Oh, I got eyes in the back.